Aileen's life was tragic from the start. Born in 1956, she never knew her father. He was a convicted child molester who committed suicide in prison. Her mother, barely an adult herself, abandoned Aileen and her brother. The children were left with their grandparents.
Life with the grandparents was no escape from misery. My grandfather was a violent alcoholic. He subjected me to horrific physical and sexual abuse. My grandmother, complicit in the abuse, offered no protection. My childhood was a living nightmare.
She found solace in the woods surrounding her Michigan home. By the age of 14, Aileen was pregnant. She claimed the father was a local boy. Her grandparents forced her to give up the baby for adoption. This traumatic event shattered any remaining innocence. School held no appeal, and she sought refuge in the streets.
My life was spiraling. I began drinking heavily. I engaged in petty theft and sex work to survive. The authorities viewed me as a nuisance. No one recognized the depth of my pain. The seeds of my rage were sown early.
Aileen, now a young woman, drifted through the American South. She hitchhiked along desolate highways. Truck stops and roadside diners became her temporary homes. Her only companions were other lost souls, searching for escape in drugs and fleeting connections.
Survival meant selling my body. Prostitution became a dangerous necessity. I faced constant threats of violence and abuse from Johns. The police were indifferent to my plight. They saw me as just another working girl.
The open road offered a sense of freedom, but it was a dangerous illusion. Aileen craved love and stability, but her traumatic past made it impossible. Each failed relationship fueled her anger. Her mental state deteriorated, making her prone to outbursts of rage and violence. The stage was set for a tragic and deadly turn. 1989 marked a turning point. Aileen, then 33, claimed her first victim, Richard Mallory. He was a 51-year-old electronics repairer. Aileen alleged that Mallory picked her up hitchhiking. He became violent, raping and brutalizing her. She shot him in self-defense.
Whether Mallory was truly a threat, or if Aileen's actions were premeditated, remains a subject of debate. What is undeniable is that this killing unlocked something dark within her.
Over the next year, she killed 6 more men. All were Johns she encountered on the highway. Her modus operandi was chillingly consistent. She would shoot her victims multiple times at close range, then rob them, taking their wallets and cars. Her actions became bolder, and the bodies began to surface along Florida's highways. The authorities realized they had a serial killer on their hands. Section 4. The law catches up, arrest, trial, and the media's glare. The investigation intensified. Police identified Aileen as their prime suspect. Her face, captured on ATM security cameras using stolen credit cards, became a fixture on the news.
The media dubbed her the Damsel of Death and the first female serial killer.
The manhunt culminated in Aileen's arrest in 1991. She was apprehended at a biker bar in Daytona Beach. The trial was a media spectacle. Aileen, with her disheveled appearance and fiery outbursts in court, became a controversial figure. She claimed self-defense in each murder. Her victims, she argued, were violent clients who had abused her. Prosecutors painted a different picture. They portrayed Aileen as a cold-blooded killer. They argued that she was motivated by robbery and a hatred for men. Section 5. Condemned by the jury, remembered by many, Aileen's execution and legacy. The jury ultimately sided with the prosecution. Aileen Wuornos was found guilty on multiple counts of murder. She was sentenced to death. The years she spent on death row were marked by conflicting narratives. Some saw her as a remorseless killer. Others viewed her as a victim of circumstance. Her story became a cultural touchstone. It sparked debates about violence against women, the death penalty, and the complexities of mental illness. In 2002, Aileen's life ended in the execution chamber at Florida State Prison. She was 46 years old. Her last words were a bizarre mix of defiance and delusion. She proclaimed her innocence. She also made strange pronouncements about spaceships and returning in the future. Section 6. Aileen Wuornos. Monster or victim? The debate continues. Aileen Wuornos remains an enigma. Was she a product of her horrific upbringing, driven to violence by years of abuse and trauma? Or was she a manipulative killer who preyed on vulnerable men using her troubled past as a shield? Her life story continues to fascinate and horrify. Documentaries, films, and books explore the complexities of her case.
Charlize Theron won an Academy Award for her portrayal of Aileen in the 2003 film Monster.
Aileen's case defies easy answers. It forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about societal inequalities, the criminal justice system, and the cyclical nature of violence. It is a story that continues to resonate, challenging us to look beyond the headlines and grapple with the gray areas of human nature.